Hello and welcome to Irresistible You, Ignite Your Passion and Purpose. I'm your host, Karen Seltz, and I'm super excited about this topic. It's going to be hot, it's going to be steamy, and it's going to be enlightening for some of you. At least that is my intention. Tonight, we are delving into how to own and embody your sexiness. Yeah. So I've had a lot of requests from friends of mine to cover this topic. So anytime the topic of sex or sexuality, sexiness comes up, people say, you know what, you should teach this. This is like one of your superpowers. And I'm like, well, I'm not really called to teach it. I could do a show on it though. It's not my full-time passion, although I do love to talk about sex. I do. Let's just be honest. And I love the part that it plays in relationships. Well, physically intimate relationships, romantic relationships. And so let me just back up a little bit and give you guys a little bit of history. I grew up, I was the youngest of 3 children, the only girl. And the messages that I received from the men in my family were such that women are only good for one thing. And we know what that is, right? And then also, if you're not good at it, you have no value. So I used to always be comparing myself to other women, and I wanted to be good at it. So it was like more technique, and I was in my head, and it was acting. And I grew up with a really unhealthy relationship to sex. It was a tool that I used to have significance, to know that I mattered. And, if you look at the messages, of course I used it that way because I thought if I wasn't good at it, if I wasn't doing it, if somebody didn't want me, then I had no value. So fast forward, I go through my teen years all messed up thinking I had to be in a relationship with a man. And if he suddenly didn't seem to have interest in me, I would start looking for Mr. Next because I felt like, oh gosh, if he doesn't want me, I have no value. So I was always seeking validation and approval, even outside of my relationships. And as an adult, when my life kind of blew up, I had some really difficult situations. I looked to my old friend sex to comfort me and to get me out of it. And I actually developed an addiction to this validation, to sex, to the actual planning of it and the act of it and receiving compliments. And it was like a chase for me because that's how I felt powerful as well, because I felt powerful in my home life. So it has taken me, I would say, 7 years past that. I'm 7 years past the last time I acted out sexually. So I just celebrated my 7-year sobriety date. And I didn't really celebrate because I don't consider myself to be an addict anymore. It's not my identity. But really, it's taken me a really long time to develop a healthy relationship with sex. And I want to talk about not just sexiness, but what is a healthy relationship to your body, and what does it look like to own your sexiness without trying to get something. Like I was owning my sexiness, but I was trying to get approval. I was trying to get compliments. I was trying to get praise, power, pleasure, safety. I was trying to get something from a lot of people. Now I play with it. I have fun. I just own it. And it doesn't have to be a thing. And I don't want anything from anybody most of the time. I mean, maybe from my partner, I do, right? So in the beginning, if you don't feel sexy, here's my number one thing that you get to start with. You get to start to love yourself. I mean, yeah, that's trite. You've heard it before. But what I mean is you get to look in the mirror without clothes on or with lingerie on. I prefer naked. And you get to say, gosh, I love the curve of my waist, where it meets my hip. It's really quite sexy. I love my breasts, or I love if you get a mirror and look at your actual genitalia. God, that's really sexy. I've never looked at that deeply before. Oh, that's hot. And you get to start seducing yourself. Because when you can see your own sexiness, when you can experience it, when you can turn yourself on, imagine taking that level of confidence into the bedroom with your partner. Imagine that. So that is my thing, is like, you get to do a sexy dance for yourself. You get to explore your body. What feels good to you? What, and really get out of your head. Get out of your head. Get into your body. So a lot of the clients that I used to attract lived from here up. And these were really analytical, perfectionistic women. And they were almost like disembodied. And if that's you, know that there's hope. It's a matter of connecting the two, dropping into your heart, dropping into, in the Native American culture, they would call it your womb space. Drop in there and say, hey, I'm going to love myself. I'm going to love myself physically, and it doesn't have to be sexual. It can be sensual. Sensual can be like touch, light touch, and see, oh, that feels good. And men, most men are not likely to touch us that way. They just don't, unless they've been, learning these things. Most men are more like, like gropey, right? So we get to learn what kind of touch feels good to us. Where, what level of pressure feels good? Maybe it's varied. Maybe a light touch feels good, and then you want to scratch, or maybe you want to squeeze or pinch, or whatever. Just go with it and breathe. Set the atmosphere. What do you like? Do you like candles? Do you like music? It doesn't have to be soft love music. Maybe it's like drums. Like, I love, when I'm pleasuring myself, I like drums, like boom, boom, like, I don't know. There's something like kind of native and tribal, and I don't know. It's just like sexy to me. So try different types of music. Notice when you're out and about and you listen to different songs or different types of music, what it does to you. Does any of it kind of get your juices flowing? If it does, try that and play with it. And then as you get more comfortable with yourself, what feels good to you, you can invite your partner in, if you have one, and let him or her watch. Let them watch and say, this is what I've discovered feels good to me. I would love for you to watch. And you are in charge. You get to say, you can touch me here, or you can touch me there, but I'm going to do this part. So I happen to like, if I am touching my clit and then my partner has fingers somewhere, right? I like that. So I request it, and I have no trouble asking for that. Like, hey, this is my area. You stay below it. and you get to decide. You are in charge. And it's part of a relationship. Is this feels good? This, could you do that a little differently? Most men don't really like it or take it very well if you say, no, don't do that. Say, could you do that a little more gently? Or could you do that faster or slower, or whatever it is? You are in charge. And it starts before, when you invite a partner into it, it starts before you get into the bedroom. You get to start having these conversations, which you get to embrace with playfulness. So let's go back to relationship parts. I just got exposed to this woman named Esther Perel, and she's a relationship expert. She's fantastic. And she was saying like 3 things really contribute to having a healthy relationship. And the first one is risk taking together. Like, if you're doing the same things over and over and you're cozy and you're comfortable, yeah, that's love. It's friendship, but it's not hot. It's not sexy. It's not passionate. It just is. So when you stretch outside your comfort zones together and you do new things, it adds some spice. And the quality of your relationship has to do with your playfulness, your humor, your imagination, having some mystery, some novelty. And I love this concept. I've been a very playful person most of my life. And when I start to get really serious, I know that I'm in my head and I'm thinking with the ego mind, because seriousness is a trick that the ego uses. So I love to play. and I play all the time. And I'm going to share with you guys that when I was in Cancun at the Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat, I met a man, like the man of my dreams. I met him there, and he lives in Ireland. So we've been playing. When we see each other on Zoom, and we play all the ways. And like life's too short to be serious. One moment, Lola, what are you doing? Oh, okay. The dog. See, she's playing too. So, it's just like I flirt, or, I might give him a little jiggle in the camera, or, like just playing and being silly and flirting and like, and then we're only in the camera. So it's like, but it's like, I don't take it seriously, and I'm not worried about being rejected. And here's the thing, I've talked to a lot of men, and men would love it if their partners initiated sex, or, put on some lingerie, or greeted them with nothing on, or whatever. Just spice it up, do something different, get out of your head, do a sexy dance. They do not care if you're 5 pounds overweight, or 20 pounds overweight, or 30 pounds. They don't care. They don't care. Almost none of them care about that. And I love, one of my favorite people, celebrities, is Lizzo. She's what most Americans would consider to be overweight. She doesn't give a shit, man. She just owns it. She's like, I'm sexy. I'm sexy. This is sexy. She wears very revealing clothing. She moves sexy. She just owns it all. She's like, and she is sexy. I don't know very many people who would disagree, because she owns it. And I bet you she does the thing where she looks in the mirror. She's like, hey, damn, I'm hot. I look hot in this. That move looks hot. Yeah. And I bet you she seduces herself. So you get to do those things. You get to show up as a sexy goddess that you are, because you are. You are sexy as hell. So own it. All right. So bringing that risk-taking element, I would love for you to think about, like, what are some things you could do to spice things up? Within your values, of course. I don't mean like, let's invite the neighbors over for, nothing like that. But whatever's in your value system, play. Try having sex with the lights on. Jeez. I didn't realize that people really do it in the dark. But, when I'm with new people, they're like, oh, you want the light on? Well, duh, of course. You got to see all the things. And I got to be seen too. Yes, I do. Anyways, so the second thing is it's a concept that I've done a show on before, and it's calibrating your expectations. And it also ties in with the third thing, which I'll get to in a minute, but it's how much do you expect from your partner, and how much are you giving? And if you expect your partner to initiate sex, for example, every single time, that gets tiring, and he or she might not feel like you want them. I've been in relationships like that where I was the initiator every single time. And I'm like, this is exhausting. I didn't feel wanted. I didn't feel desired. And I would have loved some initiation. Like in my marriage, we had sex on Tuesday and Friday. That's it. It was off the table any other day. So we had like days, and he expected it on those days, and he expected me to leave him alone the rest of the week. Well, that didn't work for me. Thus the X part. And there was no room for playfulness or spontaneity or anything like that. So managing expectations is, so when you have an expectation, at the very best, you can be not disappointed. So if someone does the thing you were expecting them to do, you're like, well, yeah, of course they did. They were supposed to, right? But if they don't do it, you build up what? Resentment, anger, who knows, all the things. So manage your expectations, talk about them, be open, communicate. And of course, have fun with it. So when I catch myself in an expectation, I'm like, oh my gosh, I see that I had an expectation there that you did not meet, that I did not communicate to you. Why did you not read my mind? Like, duh. How would you not know that I wanted that just because I didn't tell you? So just play, have fun, lighten up. All right. The third thing to have a healthy relationship, this is super important. It's diversifying your social connections. It's coming to the relationship full. I had a coach once tell me, you need to get 90% of your needs met outside of your romantic relationship. Now, that's not the needs for sex or physical intimacy in that way. It is your emotional needs. So when your partner comes home or you come home, the first thing you do isn't dump on them. It's not like, oh my gosh, I need this, I need that, I need this. It's, wow, it's so good to see you. How, and then you're full. So you can ask them, how was your day? What came up for you? What did you experience? And then you say, yeah, I had this issue. I was believing this, or I went through this and I thought I was right. I was 100% sure I was right. And then I talked to Susan, and she called me down. She laughed at me and got me to laugh at myself. And now I'm over it. And it could have been about him. It could have been like, oh, I was so sure that I was right, that you should pick up your socks off the floor or whatever. Right. But then when you get past the issue, there's not as much pressure on your person to be all things to you, and they can show up messy and vulnerable and real. And you guys, when you both have that practice of filling your emotional cup outside the relationship, you come to each other full, and you meet each other. You meet each other in this place where you add to each other. You don't like say, oh, I need something, I'm going to take it from you. Or your partner needs something from you that he's going to take from you, right? It's a meeting, and you just add to each other. And then from that place, there's this fullness that allows for that creativity, that juiciness, that play. Yes, I'm going to say it over and over. Playfulness. So another thing that Esther Perel said was that if a couple came to her and they had zero humor left, like there was nothing they would laugh about, that was quite diagnostic usually, like their relationship is dead. So what can you find to laugh about? A lot of times we look to our partners to fill our needs. We have all these expectations, a lot of times that we don't even state. And that's a tough thing for men to deal with. I mean, how do they meet your needs if they don't know what it is? And the worst thing I think a man can feel is like a failure, like he's disrespected or like he's letting you down. So what can you look to your partner for, or how can you look at him and say, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that you provide, half of the household income. Oh my gosh, because I've been a single parent for many, many years. So I've provided all of it for a long time. So for me, that would be something I would be super grateful for, right? Like to have another income in the house. And if you've been married or partnered for a long time, you might just assume and take it for granted and not thank him, not be grateful for it. But what if you didn't have it? What if it was gone? Or, what if your partner left you because he didn't feel valued? What if he passed away? These are things to give you some perspective at what you have, to create some gratitude. And when you become grateful, when you start looking for things that your partner is doing right, you will find them. Whereas a lot of people are in the habit of looking for things that their partners are doing wrong. So here's another thing I really want you to be honest with yourself about. When you get together with a girlfriend, do you trash talk your partner, or do you say, oh my gosh, I'm the luckiest woman in the world. You will not believe who my partner is for me. And I'll give you an example. So this is a new person, right? A new guy I'm with. He shows up, he meets me, he's vulnerable. He tells me what he's going through, like even if it's uncomfortable for him. And it's because he's not masking it. He's not hiding it. He's not showing up like, hey, I'm great today, da, 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 when he's not. He's just being authentic. I am like falling madly in love with this guy because he's so authentic and so real, and I can trust him. I can trust him that he's not going to lie to me. He's just showing up how he is. And I would feel it if he weren't. If he were showing up, happy and sunny all the time when he wasn't, I would feel it and I wouldn't trust him. And I would say the same thing for you guys. If you're showing up with any type of a mask on, if you're pretending to be okay cooking dinner every night when you're not, your partner's going to pick that up, and you're going to be resentful and probably pissy with him at some point. If he leaves a sock on the floor, you'll be like, yeah. And it's really about cooking dinner. You know how that goes, right? When we don't talk about the things that are really bothering us, the little things or the big things, they add up and they come out in the little things. So my invitation is for you to drop into your heart right now and ask yourself, like, what do I really want in my relationship? Is it as passionate as I would like? Is it as intimate as I would like? Is it as honest and authentic as I would like? Or am I hiding parts of myself? Am I afraid to talk about what I really want? A lot of people are into things that are not considered normal sexually, or they want to explore them, but they're afraid to ask. They've been with their partners for a while. What would it be like to start a conversation? Say, hey, I've been thinking about this and I'm really afraid to tell you what I want, but I really want to explore this. Are you open to it? What are your thoughts on this? Because who knows, maybe your partner has the same thoughts and fantasies. If not, it will take you somewhere new. And that's that risk. You're taking a risk. Anytime you're willing to expose yourself at a deep level, that's risky. You're risking rejection. You're risking your safety. It's scary. It's scary. Even with someone you've been with for 30 years, it's scary to go to those places. And I tell you, it is worth it. The freedom, the intimacy that's created. You can't fabricate that. You can't make it up. The only way you can get there is to talk about the hard things, to have courage to talk about them. So I invite you to do that and then play, or play and then do that, or play while you're doing it. Like, say, I'm so embarrassed right now. Can I do this with a bag over my head and cut some eye holes? Like, whatever. Wear a wig. I mean, I don't know, wear Groucho Marx glasses with the mustache and the nose. Maybe. Why not? Have fun. Play with it. So for me, embodying my sexiness when I'm with a partner is being 100% comfortable with my body, which means, yes, I have the light on. Yes, I take off all my clothes. Yes, I will masturbate in front of my partner. I will do whatever I want, unapologetically. And when it comes to something that might be not normal, I ask permission. Would it be okay if I tried this on you? Would it be okay if I did this? How does this feel? And I don't care. Like, if this person doesn't like it, I'm not attached. I'm like, okay, well, I'll try something else. What would you like instead? Like, what would feel better to you? Because everyone's different. And I'm not attached, but I'm also not in my head. So in the moment, if something comes to me, I try it a lot of times. I don't always ask for permission. That's a lie. I'll try it. And if they react poorly, I stop. I'm like, oh, oops. What happened there? Let's do a play-by-play. Let's break it down. And then for me, though, the best thing is when there is no separation between my partner and me, where there's like a complete melding of us. There is no thinking, there's just being and doing. And I'm 100% in my body and in my heart, and just experiencing everything, experiencing the pleasure of a touch or a kiss or a nibble or whatever it is. And just allowing myself to just go. It's a surrender. It's a form of surrender that it's common It's like I practice it in meditation. I also practice it when I have trouble going to sleep. It's surrender that allows me to go to sleep. It's also, if I'm in my head, I'm not going to have an orgasm. So it's a surrender, a letting go of control, letting go of expectations, letting go of all the things will allow me to just like relax and be there, and boom, you know what? So play by yourself, play with yourself, invite your partner in to watch, invite your partner in to participate, watch your partner, invite your partner to pleasure himself or herself, and you watch, because you will learn things. You will learn things by watching. Try head to toe, and you guys are both pleasuring yourselves and watching the other person. And when you have eye contact in that position, it's very, very intimate. It's also very hot, very hot. I hope that this gave you some tips and tricks that you are willing to try. I would love, love, love it if you reached out to me and shared with me. As you can see, I don't have any trouble talking about anything. So if you're embarrassed or if you want someone to talk to, I invite you to book a call with me, and we can talk about this. We can talk about your relationship. We can talk about your life. My website for that is connectwithkaren.us. You can book a free call there. It's connectwithkaren.us. You can also go to my website, Karen Seltz, which is my name, .com, and get more information about what I do, how I serve people. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you right here next week on Irresistible You, Ignite Your Passion and Purpose.